Hi, this is Mark Holner, the Executive Director of the Indiana Bond Bank, here for another episode of the Indiana Bondcast. And we are so excited to have Beth Huffman with us from the Town of Knightstown, and we are talking Flipping Finance Challenge 2021. Beth, welcome. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Oh my goodness, we are so excited that Knightstown's participating in FFC 2021. You know, Beth, as we've talked, we have innovators from around the state who come and work on community challenges at FFC. And I got to tell you, some of them may not have heard of Knightstown, been to Knightstown, or some may not even know where that is on a map. So you mind sharing a little bit about Knightstown?
Absolutely. We're about 40 miles east on 70 of Indianapolis, so we're pretty close to the city. We are a very small community, so we have a population of right around 2,000, 2,100 people. But we are a town that is busy and active. Our main street continued to thrive even during this last year of COVID. We also have some new developments that are happening that include some the PUD development as well as a housing development. Our citizens here locally are really active in what's happening in the community, from serving on the park board to being on the town council to even attending town council meetings. We seem to have a community full of leadership. So we're just a wonderful place to visit. And I know when I didn't know about Knightstown myself, I grew up in Greenfield, which is just west of Knightstown, and really had never been to Knightstown as a kid. And then started looking at old architecture as an adult and trying to decide where am I going to live. And I drew a circle on the map from Indianapolis, which is where I worked at the time. And it was about an hour out on all sides of the city. And I started working with realtors who worked to find people old homes, and visited all north, south, east, and west around the state to try to figure out where do I really want to live. And there's beautiful architecture all over the state, but Knightstown is unusual in that we have a lot of old architecture and old homes that have been preserved, an old home community that's still very modern. So I kept coming back to Knightstown trying to figure out, why am I drawn here of all places? It wasn't, the Carmel of the world or the Fishers of the world, but it was so quaint, and the people here were so genuine and so friendly that I finally realized that's what's drawing me to this town. It's the people as well as the architecture. And that's how I ended up in Knightstown. And I think Knightstown has a lot to offer people to visit, but also to live here.
That's amazing. And we saw some of that in our pre-consult as we were starting to think about different opportunities for challenges and challenges and opportunities that the innovators can work on. I mean, we saw, I think there was probably the most participation from Knightstown that we had, maybe from any of our communities, in terms of just citizens, officials, different walks of life coming in because they believe and are excited about Knightstown and the possibilities for Knightstown. That was really neat to see. I think you really embody that.
Yeah. I'm really fortunate to get to work with all the people that are so excited about what's happening in Knightstown.
That's great. I mean, tell me about, Greenfield, drew the circle, you land in Knightstown. How did you, become more civically engaged with Knightstown? How long have you held your role? I know you wear a lot of different hats. Tell us about your role and what you do.
So when I first came to Knightstown, I worked in Indianapolis, and my focus was really in Indianapolis. I knew folks around town. I would get involved in some of the social activities throughout the town. And little by little, I just started doing more and more. My husband and I bought a building here in town. We opened up an antique store. I changed jobs and actually became the owner of an accounting company that was over in Carmel and decided, you know what, I'm going to locate that in Knightstown. And so little by little, we just became more and more ingrained in the town and looking here versus looking outside of the town for what we needed. And I was approached by some folks and asked to run for clerk treasurer of the town. It's been, I guess, 5 years ago now. And I decided it's time, it's time to give some of my talents and treasures to the town. And so I did run for office, and I'm in the second year of my second term. I didn't know all of the responsibilities of a clerk treasurer when I ran. And so I can tell you, yes, I wear a lot of hats, but I love it. I still have, my company and work there, but I love making a difference for the town and seeing the strides that we've made in these 5 years. It's just amazing. And what I love about the town is I've been here since 1993, and I don't consider myself, born and raised here. And many of the people here are born and raised here. And those who are in leadership positions who are born and raised here are so passionate about keeping the town thriving and keeping their memories about how this great town used to be in the olden days going on today. But they don't close out someone who is not an insider, if you will.
Sure.
They seem to embrace that, new folks will come here and new folks will help us continue to thrive, and they will help us look outside of the town for good ideas. And I love that about the town. So many small towns, you just feel like, gosh, I don't belong here if I didn't, if I wasn't raised here. Knightstown isn't like that. It's a really, really unique opportunity for people to come, move into the town and get involved and be embraced by the local community.
I mean, it's probably no surprise then for our listeners that we're talking here about Flipping Finance Challenge, because it's all about looking for fresh ideas, fresh set of eyes, and for Knightstown, right, to embrace you and different ideas and new ways of doing things while still holding on and honoring that history. It's just a perfect match with Flipping Finance, and I know we were really excited when you said yes to join us. For our innovators out there who are looking at Knightstown and some of your opportunities to work on, Beth, is there something, kind of one of those challenges that you really hope people key in on, or is there's, something you really want to get out of the event?
Yeah, like so many communities, we have a lot of challenges as we look at budgets and trying to make everything work within our budgets. So we came up with a list of, I believe, 6 challenges that we feel like we're facing right now. Things that might be, more simple, like how do we communicate well with citizens, even though we don't have a local newspaper, to developing the I-70-109 corridor and making our exit a place that people come. And I mean, the dream is that maybe someday we'll have a nice industrial type development in areas that farmers decide not to farm anymore. So we have a lot of dreams for our future, and we have, what some again might consider small in financial terms kinds of problems, all the way to the 10, $15 million challenges that are facing us. So we have that range of things on our list. We're really looking at how can we market Knightstown to make Knightstown. We're known for the Hoosier Gym. The film Hoosiers was filmed in our gymnasium on the interior of it. And we have a group of local citizens who formed a nonprofit and developed and renovated and took care of this gymnasium to make sure that it continues to have the same spirit that it had back in the days of the Hoosiers era. And so we're known for that. We bring in 100,000 visitors across the course of a year in some years. So it's a great tourism tool for us. us. But we are more than just our Hoosier Gym, and we want to get that word out to everyone that Knightstown is special for a lot of reasons. So we'd like to talk about, as part of one of our challenges with flipping finance, how do we make sure that we get the word out that keeps the message about the Hoosier Gym and how great that is, but how do we make sure we're richer than that, we're more in depth than that in a marketing message, and coupled with how do we communicate with our local residents about what good things are happening. So we recently, the council voted to bring in electronic meters, huge project, huge expenditure of dollars, and going to be very helpful to the citizens and make a big deal in terms of if a water leak happens, we're going to know about it sooner. If a power outage happens, we'll probably know before the first person picks up the phone to make a phone call about it. A lot of our citizens still don't know that that decision's been made. How do we get that word out? So do we need an app that folks sign up for, and then we have a lot of communication happening on that app? We have people who are older in this community, so how are we sure that we're communicating with them? And then a lot of positive things are happening here, so we want to keep a good positive momentum, a positive communication flowing. So how do we do that? So we would love for that issue to be solved for us. And then to take it a little further, thinking of the future, we don't have the money for a marketing person in our budget. So how do we make sure that we're keeping all of our social media updated properly? If we were to have an app developed, how would we keep that up to date? How do we keep the website up to date to be sure it's fluid and telling the story of Knightstown? So that's a real challenge for us. That seems like a here and now if we want to attract people into this community. How do we get the word out about us? That is almost a beginning before you can start to do all of these other things. So that certainly is a goal of mine. And one thing that one of our council members, Landon Dean, has mentioned is maybe we should set up some districts in the town so that we have a river district, a cultural district, an art district, etc. And so could that play a role in this marketing? And my hope would be that we would have folks who are the younger generation at the Flipping Finance, as well as others from other communities who've dealt with this issue, who will bring an idea to us that nobody's thought of here. Then we as the leadership can walk away from Flipping Finance with some great ideas about what we're going to do next and carry that forward. We also, as I mentioned, have the I-70 to 109 district, and that's a huge issue for us because we know that a hospital has recently purchased property at that exit. They're going there, that's going to happen, and someone is going to furnish utilities to them. We have to get utilities from the town of Knightstown up 109 to that exit at I-70, which is outside our town limits. So how do we figure this out and do it in a way that doesn't make our current ratepayers responsible? We don't want to do it on the backs of the town ratepayers. We want to figure this out in a way that really we get buy-in from the hospital, property owners, utility providers that are already there, like phone and internet services, as well as thinking outside the box at maybe getting some grants that would help us get the utility out to I-70. And that will also allow us to develop more in terms of home ownership in the areas that are out that direction, because sometimes people prefer to be on utilities that are provided by a community versus on a well and septic. So we see this as a huge opportunity for growth and development, and we believe we're probably one of the next areas, Knightstown is, to be developed, because Greenfield has certainly been on the development go for some number of years now, and they're kind of growing out to the edges of their seams, and so we need to be poised and ready to bring on that development here.
I mean, this is just, if I'm an innovator listening to this, Beth, this is like, I don't know, like Easter candy sprinkled all over. It's just, I mean, I'm hearing, right, marketing and communication challenges, and there's finance, and there's urban planning, and there's, the how might we is just abundant. And it's what's really exciting. And I think, the spirit of Knightstown, what we love about flipping finance is it attracts folks who want to make change and who want to take action. They don't want to sit in a room for, a 5-hour conference and hear about the various challenges. They want to actually, all right, let's roll our sleeves up and let's see in 18 hours what we can actually tackle and put together for a community. And so I think if they're listening to this right now, they're probably, ready to rip and run and start working on some of these. So it is perfect. And I know there'll be more in depth on our website posted about each challenge. A lot of our innovators like to work ahead. Beth, is there somebody in Knightstown, or is there a way, if they do want to, get a little more information about particular challenges ahead of time, is there a way they can reach out and contact?
Oh, absolutely. I can be contacted at clerk@hrtc.net, and I can then hook people up, get all the right people into the conversation, set up some virtual meetings, and do anything we need to do ahead of time to provide more data, more information, sort of more flavor about who we are and what we're looking for.
Perfect. And we will have that email address posted along with the podcast for our listeners or watchers. I mean, Beth, any other final words or thoughts? Our innovators have a short amount of time. I think while they'd like to work on every community's challenges, is there a pitch you'd like to make to attract them to Knightstown and have them focus on your opportunities?
Well, I first want to say thank you for the invitation into this Flipping Finance Challenge. We as a community think this means that people are starting to hear about Knightstown. People are getting excited with us, and we want to get the word out loud and clear that Knightstown is a place of innovation. Knightstown is hungry for change and development, and we're trying to be really thoughtful about how we do that. So we want to set that stage to market properly, to bring on development properly, to get people excited about what are the opportunities here. And we've identified some challenges that are before us that will be on the website that we feel like are maybe some building blocks that we need to make sure we solidify as we move into this next adventure for Knightstown. So people here are interested, they're willing, and we have great leadership that can carry out the plans. So we hope that our challenges are of interest to the folks that are involved in flipping finance, and really look forward to this opportunity.
I'm sure it will be, particularly as you kind of see that wave of growth. Right, you're in a position of, we can either kind of scramble when it inevitably hits, or the approach that you've taken and your team's taking, which is, hey, this is probably coming. How do we be proactive? How might we, grow in a way that makes sense, and not just have people fall in our laps because they want to live in a suburb of Indianapolis, but how might we really kind of make ourselves that attractive place to live, to work, to play, all of that. So I really think you've proposed a compelling vision for our innovators, and thank you for the kind words. I mean, this is. I don't want to spend too much time on the bond bank, but really we love doing this event because it's just, we know the state, the bond bank can't solve everything. So it's just a way to, hey, let's get motivated, smart people in a room who have, the civic mind to help communities around the state, and let's turn them loose and see what happens. And so we love facilitating it. It's my favorite event of the year. It makes us feel warm and fuzzy, and again, hopefully deliver some good solutions. So I really appreciate it, Beth, and we're so excited to have you at this event.
Well, thank you. We just can't wait.
Fantastic. Well, we will see you, if I don't talk to you beforehand, we'll see you in February, and looking forward. Please register if you're listening to this. Register for Flipping Finance Challenge 2021 on our website. Take care, and thanks for listening to the Indiana Bondcast.